Miracle One. Big Sills. Many of you come to this program because we have conversations. Remember a couple days ago, someone said, D-Hop to the Eagles? What, Sills? Content a little low? No. Reality. I told you there was no way on the planet that the Cardinals were going to retain DeAndre Hopkins, and there was no way he would be on that Cardinal football team come September. Well, they cut him today. Now, Tone and I were just having a conversation. And do you know what this now becomes? The pitch. I hear some of you, and I know some of the people in Philadelphia are going, we can't afford that guy. I don't know necessarily that's going to be the number one aspect here in this conversation. Let me ask you this before we even get going. And by the way, Memorial Day this weekend, one of my favorite weekends on the planet. Barbecuing, having a great time. I mean, back in the day with my family, it was one of the greatest times on the planet being around my family. Flying kites, fireworks, all kinds of stuff. That and the 4th of July was just a boatload of fun. And I know hopefully for you guys, it's the same. And I hope you have a great weekend. And also remember to honor your military folks. It's a day that we take thanks for the men and women who serve our country. So, okay. Well, let me ask you this before we get going in here. What's the best scenario? And like Tone says, what's the pitch by Howie? I think it's easy. So how many people? I wrote these teams down. It's funny. I threw that out there, and everyone went on that JAKIB Sports Twitter page and hammered me going, that'll never happen. Funny, Adam Schefter just a couple minutes ago said, be on the lookout for the Eagles because they're one of the candidates that he could pick and go and play for. Funny. Oh, now it's a story. See, I see Steve saying Ravens. Let me, before we make the pitch, and how I think Howie can make this pitch to DeAndre Hopkins. Hey, by the way, thank you, NFL gods, for dropping this story on a Friday. Fantastic. Thank you again. Here, I wrote these 10 teams down. Bills. Chiefs 2. Cowboys. Hey, didn't Big Sills tell you the other day that the Cowboys have massive interest in DeAndre Hopkins? That easily could happen. Now they got rid of Ezekiel Elliott. That's a clear possibility. And then they might have the better wide receiving core than you. Eagles 4. Packers 5. Jets 6. Giants 7. Ravens 8. Rams 9. Seahawks 10. These are the teams that I think are probable landing spots for DeAndre Hopkins. So let's do this by elimination here. He wants to play with a top flight quarterback. This is before we even get to the money. Well, the Packers are out. You think he really wants to play with Daniel Jones? Now, it's New York. Daniel Jones. Matthew Stafford. No disrespect to Geno Smith. I doubt it. So that leaves these teams. Bills, Chiefs, Cowboys, Eagles, Jets, and Ravens. Okay? Now let's do this. And then we can get to the conversation of money in the pitch. Why in the world would DeAndre Hopkins pick an AFC team when that's the harder road to the Super Bowl? And right now, this is about his legacy, getting a ring. Having a ring on that legacy probably gets him to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's a Hall of Fame player, and I believe he's got a lot of juice left. I think he's probably got 2 top flight years left in the gas can. I think he's got 2 top years left. 2-year contract, 1-year contract with an option. He's not going to get a 3-year deal. So to think that this guy's going to get 3 years is ridiculous. He will get money here. But here, let's do this. Why would he go to the AFC? Say he picks Kansas City. That would give him the best chance possibly to get to the Super Bowl again because of Andy Reid, the play caller, and the quarterback. DeAndre Hopkins is a Hall of Famer? Yeah. Yeah, if Torrey Holt is a Hall of Famer and people think he is, yeah. And by the way, I'd rather have DeAndre Hopkins than Marvin Harrison. I'd rather have DeAndre Hopkins more than my guy Reggie Wayne. Absolutely. Andre Johnson is probably somebody I would take over Hopkins. Maybe. Absolutely, Hopkins is a Hall of Famer. Okay, whatever. Why would you go there to the AFC? Go to the Bills. Him and Diggs and Allen, it would be insane. Does he trust Dorsey as the OC up there? That's a choice. I believe that that's a choice. The Chiefs aren't going to spend the giant money that it's going to take to get him in the building. Now, you could make the pitch too, like the Eagles can. Chiefs are an opportunity. How about the Cowboys? You got rid of Ezekiel Elliott. I totally think the Cowboys are in play. The Eagles, here's one thing that we all have to agree. Tone, I don't know if you agree with this, but when every top flight player becomes available by way of being a salary cap casualty or whatever being cut, everyone's a candidate for Philly. I think they look at everybody, but not everybody can play in Philly. Is that fair? I don't think that there is a stone unturned when it comes to the general manager of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think they discuss everything when it comes to player personnel in the National Football League. Some have a 10 on the scale, some have a 2. And I would probably put this at a 6.5 right now. Because then you got to figure out, can it work? How can we get them here? And would it upset? And by the way, I don't want to hear anybody talking to me about upsetting the locker room. I don't give a shit about that. DeAndre Hopkins has never been a clubhouse cancer in any way, shape, or form. He would fit in anywhere. The big conversation is, can you fit in with 2 other number ones? Devontae Smith is not the problem here. Bigger impact. Hopkins or Mosley. This is an offensive league. Hopkins. I still think you're going to get to the NFC. Watch this. Mosley helps your defense. Hopkins wins you the Super Bowl. By the way, did you hear what I just said? Mosley helps your defense incredibly. Hopkins wins you the Super Bowl. You pick one. And by the way, also, if you ever brought DeAndre Hopkins into Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts can't win a Super Bowl with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and DeAndre Hopkins, he'll never win one. He'll never win one. It would be the most loaded offensive football team I've seen since the greatest show on turf. I don't know if I've ever seen an offense with an offensive line, a quarterback, and wide receivers and a tight end You're limited in the running back, but I don't give a shit about the running back now. Now you got Swift. Dude, Swift would look like a superstar. Okay? So let me put it this way. The Jets, another AFC team. Do you really want to sign a 2-year deal with a guy you're not sure is even going to play next year? It's New York. Would he go to the Ravens? Now, here's one thing I'll ask you about the Ravens. Can you name me a wide receiver in Baltimore Ravens history outside of Anquan Bolden that you remember had big-time success in that system? And it was more of a passing system when Bolden played there. Do you really think that they're going to throw the ball more in Baltimore, or is that just bullshit talk? Personally, I don't believe him. In the entire time that he's been there, no wide receivers had any success whatsoever. Why would he? I think Baltimore is a tough road to get to where you want to go. I go Jets and Ravens out. So that leaves 4 teams. Bills, Chiefs, Cowboys, Eagles. You know what the pitch for Kansas City to get DeAndre Hopkins is? Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. You don't really have to do too much of a pitch. And here's the pitch that the Eagles and the Chiefs give you. And let's do the pitch from Howie Roseman. And I'm sure they've already, like Adam Schefter says, have already debated the pitch. I would say this to you. Look, we'll sign you to a 1-year contract, the same thing that the same thing that Odell Beckham has signed. We'll give you $13 to $15 million. Give it to him. If that could give you the Super Bowl, wouldn't you do that? Restructure a contract. Howie has done remarkable things. And then get this, he wins a Super Bowl ring. You guys win the Super Bowl if you put him on your team. You win the Super Bowl. You can't stop that offense. And I would tell him, hey, you may not get 120 catches, but you'll get 60 of the most important catches in your entire NFL career. Because every time they throw you the ball, you're going to have 20 yards a catch. Because those other guys and that tight end and that quarterback, dude, this will be the greatest football team you ever play on. College, pro. You will never be on a better football team in your life than the Eagles. And you can help us win the Super Bowl. Not the NFC East, the Super Bowl. My pitch to you is this. You can slip on, no question about it, a bank number, and you could slip on a diamond ring. But would you rather slip on a Super Bowl ring? You can go buy yourself a beautiful ring. Or do you want to buy yourself a Super Bowl ring? Do you want to invest in yourself? The wide receiver position, when it comes to Hall of Fame conversation, there's a backlog of guys that deserve to be in. A championship trophy puts the cherry on top of your legacy and your resume. You come in there and you get 60 catches. Take a look at what AJ did last year. What would he have? 85 catches? Guy had 1,400 yards with 85 catches. There's not enough footballs to go around. Who gives a shit? It's about scoring TDs, not about people's egos. I thought the Eagles didn't have egos. Defensive coordinator should not be able to sleep at night if he comes to Philly. Not a chance in hell. Not a chance. It'd be the greatest offense. How about this? I don't know if it'd be the greatest offense because we have to see it perform, but it'd be the greatest collection of talent I've ever seen pre-salary cap era. I'm trying to think of the great offenses during the salary cap. Shit, it was Moss and Brady Pre-cap, it was Wayne and Harrison and Dallas Clark and Manning. That was a hell of an offense. The Rams, okay? Rams, probably the Rams. Like I said, greatest show on turf. $13 million in cap space you have. Go get them. Remember I told you, Miracle 1 had to happen. It's happened. It's happened. Man, he goes into that. Can you imagine that offense with those three horses? Holy cow. Jalen Hurts to throw for 5,000 yards. How about this? Here's something else to think about. If you put DeAndre Hopkins on that team, Jalen Hurts wins the most valuable player award. You put him on the team, there's a chance you're going undefeated. What game would you be underdogs in? Chiefs? I don't think so. There wouldn't be a game you would be an underdog in. And here's something else to think about too. If you're the Eagles, hypothetically, trade deadline comes. He's maybe not getting the touches and he's complaining. Trade him for 3 or 2. There's going to be desperate teams for him. That guy is a gold nugget. He's one of the players out there I told you that's a game-changing guy that's going to change the fortunes of a team. Don't shit yourself. If Beckham got $15 million on a 1-year deal, that guy is twice as good. He's twice as healthy. I know he's coming off an injury. I know that. That is helpful to the Eagles in negotiating. Who's going to help you win a Super Bowl more? A linebacker or Hopkins? Come on, man. Who's going to help you win a Super Bowl more? C.J. Mosley or DeAndre Hopkins? Like I told you, that guy was on pace for 120 catches and 1,400 yards before he got hurt. You want to hear something even more? And by the way, the money's going to be an issue. But, dude, he wants to play in Philly. He said it. That means he's open to negotiate. He threw names out for a reason. You know, they must have given him a heads up he was going to be cut. They must have given him a heads up. Okay? They must have given, because he started naming names. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts. Look at all those places that he named, all great cultures and all great organizations. Bills have turned it around since they put McDermott up there and Bean. They've turned it around. He wants to go to a place that has a quarterback that can get him the ball and they can win and get paid. What organizations allow you to do that? Well, the Cowboys, kind of. They don't win enough. Why would he go there? To be a TV star? That could be. I don't think the Cowboys are on his list. For the record, I didn't hear him name Dak, even though that I think the Cowboys have massive interest in this. So now we're down to Chiefs, Bills, and Eagles. Would the Chiefs pay $13 million for him? I don't believe so. Or they would have kept Tyreek Hill. I think this comes down between the Bills and Eagles. And what the cool thing is, Jalen Hurts is not making $51 million this year. Allen is making a ton of money. One-year deal. Bills and Eagles, I think this comes down to. And again, the AFC, the road to the Super Bowl, pretty crowded. The road to the Super Bowl, on the NFC side, you got 3 teams. You really have 2 teams. And then the Cowboys. Why would Baltimore be perfect? Dion says Baltimore is perfect for Hopkins. Why? Has Lamar Jackson displayed any kind of ability to enhance a wide receiver and his numbers and his impact on the team since he's been a starting quarterback? Hollywood Brown ran from the place, and I would not consider him elite. Let me tell you, if Buffalo gets him, boy, I mean, that Buffalo gets him with Diggs, that could be one of the best wide receiving cores in the league. And I would say this, it's a damn shame San Francisco doesn't have a quarterback. Because you put him out there in San Francisco, I know they got the kid Ayuk on the other side. He's a good-looking ball player too. But you could put Hopkins on that side of the ball with Samuel. Holy shit. That would be a freak show. With McCaffrey? Don't go to sleep, though, on San Fran. Why? Because they don't pay their quarterback any money. Nobody's making any money at the quarterback position in San Francisco. Nobody. You got Sam Darnold. You got Brock Purdy making $937,000. Trey Lance is the most expensive guy in the building. Tony's right. Rodgers next year, do you know the Jets have to stroke a check to Aaron Rodgers for $106 million? You understand the salary cap probably will go to $230 next year, maybe $235. Almost half of the salary cap for the Jets next year goes to Rodgers' salary. Sills, how much do you think it would take? I think it's going to take more on lesser teams to get him. Like here, Kansas City will probably offer him $10 to $12 million and the option and ability and then the pitch to make the Super Bowl and win it with him. And you know what Kansas City says? We can win it with you or without you. We've already proven it. But we'd love to have you because it would help us. Okay? It would help us. And you. And you're playing with Mahomes, and you got a play calling coach in Andy Reid. You can't lose with that. Now, if you go to Baltimore, I want to make more than Beckham. I'm better than Beckham. I got more juice in the tank. He's been hurt for the last 5 years. I'm a better player. He is a better player. You'd have to pay him more. You just paid your quarterback. Kind of a tough putt. He ain't going to Green Bay. He'll go to Green Bay. Why would he want to go play with Jordan Love? Who in their right mind would want to go play with Jordan Love or Trey Lance? No one. Unproven. Why would I want to go play with Geno? Unsure. Hey, you put him on the other side of DK Metcalf. Dude, that's not what he's looking for. He's looking for stability at the quarterback position and in the organization. Dude, remember what I told you about dotting all the I's when you're talking about how great Jalen has it? Great front office, great owner, an owner that pays money up front instead of on the back end of contracts. The Eagles, in my opinion, have taken over for the Steelers as the gold standard on how you deal with contracts. And you got the master chef in the kitchen, and his name is Howie Roseman. Don't ever tell me you don't think Howie can make this work. I saw something on what that guy did when it came to Jalen Hurts' contract that nobody on the planet. And you know why? Because your owner is willing to do whatever it takes financially to make it happen. Howie's got the ingenuity. Jeffrey Lurie's got the balls. He's got the balls to do it. Put it in. Dude, this guy's like a riverboat gambler. Dude, what I love about your owner so much, I could see him just going, go get him. Bring him in, have a conversation. Then you look at A.J. Brown and you look at Devontae Smith. And you know what? I don't need a coach in the building. You know what you do? You two meet with Goddard. And you know what you all say with Hurts? This is about winning the chip. A.J. Brown's 25 years old. He got his money. Do you know what that would do for Devontae Smith's value? If he wins a Super Bowl, gets another 1,200-yard year with Jalen Hurts and D-Hop's in the building. You don't think people are going to have eyeballs on D-Hop? Devontae Smith may be wide. Dallas Goedert may have 1,400 yards. Someone's going to have a superstar year. You put that guy on. You're paying all that money on offense. You better use it while you have it. Dude, the big issue with the Eagles now, your O-line's getting older. You have the best O-line since the Cowboy O-line that had Emmett in front of him. And I actually think you're better. Don't let it go to waste. Look how freaking close you were to the Super Bowl. And some are going, Sills, we lost that because of defense. You won't make that mistake again. Hurts is not going to put that ball on the floor again. That's not going to go down like that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that that guy's a repetitive loser and will make the same mistake twice. And nor do I think that organization will make the same mistake twice. Stop with the stupid shit about the field, the coordinator. Hey, you're not going to make that mistake again. With that football team that you've assembled. And let me say this, if Howie Roseman works a deal out to get DeAndre Hopkins into Philadelphia, it'll be the greatest offseason I've ever seen any general manager have. And I'll say this, it has to be the best 2 years in football I've ever seen when it comes to putting and constructing a team. I've never seen any shit like this. You got players now. I got to say this. I got to read this weapon. If Howie signs Hopkins, he'll be that head coach, and Sirianni will be sent into the broom closet. Hey, it's not going to work like that because Sirianni's his guy. I want to show you something else, what you guys have done. Look at what's happened here in Philly since the 4-win season. And the chaos in the front office and in the coaching staff, and the chaos with the coach and the general manager, the quarterback. The whole thing was on fire. It was a trash can that was on fire. Was it not? That thing was a trash can on fire. This thing has been distinguished. And now you have players like Hopkins and every other potential free agent going, hey, I'd love to play in Philly. I don't hear anybody saying they like to play in Dallas. You know why they go to Dallas? Because they want to get paid, not win. It's not about winning in Dallas. It's about getting paid in Dallas and being a TV star. Good, let them be that way. When you go to Philly now, Jalen Hurts, the environment in the building, that team, what they did last year free agent-wise, I keep bringing this up to you. Kaiser White got a raise. TJ Edwards, a UDFA, an undrafted free agent, is now making $7.5 million in Chicago. Look at those two stories. It's not about Hargrave or anybody else. Look at dude, Kaiser White was given up on. He got a raise. TJ Edwards, 259 picks passed him by. And he makes $7.5 million. And Jalen Smith is out of the league. There's your difference right there between the Cowboys and Eagles. Jalen Smith gets a giant contract and turns out to suck. And TJ Edwards becomes a sought-after free agent. It's crazy great. Crazy great. I don't think that Howie can afford Hopkins. Really? Do you really think that? It's not about affording him. It's how to make it work. I have a famous saying that I like to tell people when I'm negotiating with them or I'm trying to do something. Do you know what my favorite line is? If both parties want something bad enough, I say this: we're working to get to yes here. We're not looking to get to no. Sometimes you don't want to work with that other person and it's time to move on. I completely get it. But sometimes you do want to try to make it work. So you work where you're all trying to get to yes. That's called being a statesman, not a politician. A politician doesn't want to get to yes. That's why in Washington, we don't have true statesmen anymore, because it's about getting to yes, compromising. This is what we're willing to do for you. Jameson, thank you. Just telling you, man. Get to yes. I think Kansas City and Philadelphia have the easiest pitch because they'll know right away. And by the way, Hopkins throwing Jalen Hurts' name out? You don't think that that's not by design with his agent? And why is that by design? Well, dude, people are getting paid in Philly. And they know Hurts is not on his contract until 2024 of March. This is not complicated. 1 year guaranteed contract at 13. No cap hit, no shit, no nothing. Here it is. Go get it, dog. And if you get 50 catches, dude, if that guy puts 50 catches on the Eagles, Jalen Hurts wins the Super Bowl and wins the Most Valuable Player Award. 50 catches from him versus 50 catches from Quez? What do you think? 50 catches with Zach Pascal or 50 catches with DeAndre Hopkins? When I'm game planning against somebody, you think Zach Pascal or Quez Watkins frightens me? Quez maybe a little because of the speed. But Quez is not going to make me circle that guy on the chalkboard and go, hey, we got to be concerned with this guy running down the seam. The reason why I'm bullish on this is because of the way Howie negotiates and manipulates the cap. Two things he is exceptional at. Not good, exception, best in the league. That's right. Roseman at manipulating the cap is exceptional, best in the league. And maneuvering around the cap is everything. William goes, D-Hop will probably choose between KC and Philly. I think it's Bills and Eagles. Now, I'm with you. I think Kansas City will offer him. Jesus Christ, Kansas. I'll say this, man. If D-Hop lands in Kansas City, that's going to be pretty tough to beat. Pretty tough to beat. Kelsey and him running around in the outfield? Really? Travis Kelsey and DeAndre Hopkins running around in the outfield, and Mahomes is your quarterback, and Andy Reid's your play caller? I don't know. Hey, that's must-see television. Yeah, I mean, that guy might get 20 touchdowns with him. Can you – here, if he goes to Cleveland, why would DeAndre Hopkins go to Cleveland? It'd be another bribe. They would have to have another bribe for him to go there. Here's $20 million. Okay, I'm in Cleveland. You're not going to pass $20 million up. Dude, there's going to be teams offer him that. He's got to make a choice. Some guys will go like this. What gives me the best chance of winning? It's a great organization, and my market value will continue to stay or get better. That's what you got to do. Think about it. So if you go to some shitty team like the Texans, I'm just saying, I know he was there already, but if you go to some shitty team like the Texans or Carolina, okay, you go there to Carolina, and you have 50 catches for 800 yards. That's a L. You have 50 catches and 800 yards in Philly. That's a massive win. That's a massive win. DeAndre Hopkins will never play for the New England Patriots. Ever. It's not the kind of system, nor is it the kind of environment he wants to play in. Bill O'Brien, okay, and Mac Jones. The coaches hate Mac Jones. They like that other kid that they have in the building. I've never heard them talk well about Mac Jones in a year and a half. And all of a sudden, DeAndre Hopkins is going to want to go play in New England? Come on, man. New England is a train wreck right now in talent. The cabinet, like Brady saw, is empty. There's no skilled set people up there. Bailey Zappi. Mac Jones. Shit, the Eagles have two better quarterbacks than that shit up in New England. Shit, Ian Book might be one of their better quarterbacks if he was in New England. I mean, that thing is a train. Like I said, they're back to the Steve Grogan days. That's a good tie-in, Arthur. But remember who traded him. One of the reasons why Hopkins wanted out of Houston is because they sent Hopkins to Arizona for a running back. And that was it. Hopkins wanted no part of being in Arizona. And Deshaun Watson despised what they did. You gave the guy $180 million on a brand new contract, and you moved the best third down wide receiver out of the building in the same breath because you were robbing Peter to pay Paul. Why would you want, if you're DeAndre Hopkins, to go to the guy who fucked it all up in Houston? Not me. That's why. Organization. Quarterback. Winning. Being paid. Okay? Pete Toilet goes, the Cleveland thing again. Do you really believe in Kevin Stefanski? Putting you in a position to win? He couldn't put Odell Beckham in a position to win. Albeit it was Baker Mayfield. This kid's 10 times better. I get it. Hopkins is not going to Cleveland unless you bribe him. Lamar Jackson doesn't really make wide receivers better ball players. How about this? This is where you guys can fire back at me about Lamar versus Jalen. You ready? Did Jalen Hurts make A.J. Brown a better ball player than what he was when he was in Tennessee? The answer is yes. Career numbers everywhere. He had career numbers. And was he really the focal point? I don't know. Maybe one week he was. Maybe it was the running game. Shit, we've seen him with games where he didn't have any numbers. So it wasn't a week-to-week basis where he was the number one go-to guy. In Tennessee, he was never, because it was a Derrick Henry offense, and I get it. But Jalen Hurts made that guy better. And then on the other hand, A.J. Brown and Jalen made Devontae better. 95 catches, over 1,000 yards. Shit, Dallas Goedert may have been on his way. Dion goes, Lamar never had great wide receivers. That's because great wide receivers don't want to play in Baltimore. I mean, look, I get it. He led the NFL in touchdown passes. Truly a remarkable thing. That year, he threw for 3,100 yards. You think you're getting a big year out of somebody when you got a tight end that makes all the catches for you and you're comfortable and that's your go-to guy? I don't know. Lamar Jackson is a great football player, and I like him a lot, and I'll be interested to see how he compares against Jalen Hurts this year. He's in a tougher conference by far. His road to get where he needs to get to is way more difficult than Jalen's. Now, Jalen does have the toughest schedule in the league this year. So maybe everything equals itself out. This is your last year. Well, not really. Because of what Howie did on the salary cap. Yeah, it's not your last year. Dude, you can make the space for this guy. Can you imagine if you signed Matt Araiza and this guy? Holy cow. It'd be a better offseason than last year. And you got Jalen Carter. And you got Nolan Smith. And the draft picks you picked. And last year's picks are going to step in. We'll see if they step up. Man, the Eagles would be in a great position. Plus, we're not talking about putting D-Hop on a 3-year contract. 1 year with an option or 1 year. You want 2? I don't know if the Eagles would even go for that. Maybe the player doesn't even want to go for that. See, the player is in a crossroads too. Do I sign? The only teams that are going to give him long-term contract extensions are teams that are in desperation. Right now, teams mostly after free agency, right? Most teams' caps are pretty set. His market value is going to be next offseason, not now. There's going to be a higher value for him next February than there is now. Half the league can't do any conversations with him. Why? Well, they don't have the room. Most of these teams are pushed against the cap. Right? Your value is going to be next February, March of free agency of 2024. Jerome says, what about the Cowboys? I told you 3 days ago. The Dallas Cowboys are in the DeAndre Hopkins sweepstakes. I told you that 3 days ago. Now it's a story. Okay. So what you're saying is he is more likely to take a shorter-term deal and re-up this following offseason. Completely. He'll have more team. Here's why, and I'm answering Tone's question. You're probably going to have 4 or 5 teams that have the ability to give you a long-term deal. And those are going to be the teams that suck, like the Bears. Why would you go to Chicago? They got the money. Would you go to Chicago right now if you're DeAndre Hopkins? Why? It'd be like going from Arizona to Arizona 2.0. Why? They got money. Go there. Why would I go there? So the Bears can be halfway decent? That's not what that kid's looking for, is to be halfway decent. And you know, people are going like this. Well, what about the cap? Dude, what about the cap? The guy that you have in the building at the NovaCare Center and Howie Roseman, I mean, this guy should have worked at Enron because he fixes the books to where everything is in the right column. Seriously, man, this guy should go to work in our government when it comes to saving the financial institutions. Like if a bank is getting ready to close, you need to call Howie Roseman or something. Like the president needs to call him up. Hey, we need to put this here, take this over here, take this investment, and take all the deposits and put it here. Because that's theoretically what he does with the Eagles. Let's take this player's money here, put it here. We'll use it here next year. We'll use this guy's money here along with Mulata and with this guy's money with Lane, and we'll go and use that money so that we'll have $20 million for the salary cap. And then we have this money here for the draft. That's what he does, man. The good thing is Hopkins made his desire clear. It will be one of the 5 teams he mentioned. Now, here's the thing with it. Look, this is what Tone says. Chargers, Bills, Eagles, Chiefs, Ravens. This has to mean he already knows what the market is for him right now. Correct. But every one of those teams are up against the cap already except the Chiefs. Okay? And the Chargers, you actually think the Chargers, who just had a battle with Austin Eckler, are going to pay him $15 million when you got Keenan Allen and Mike Williams bitching about the money? You really believe? Shit, they got to sign Joey Bosa yet. It's one of the cheapest organizations. I covered them for 5 years. The Spanos family is not going to pay that guy that money. And you got to pay Herbert. So who pulls the trigger, Sills? With Bean and the Bills. By the way, Stephon Diggs did exactly what I said he would. If he didn't restructure his contract, he wouldn't be on the team. He restructured it. Ravens just gave that guy a boatload of money. And they didn't do a Howie Roseman deal. They didn't. They kind of did. They gave a lot of that money up front. Ravens probably have the room. Tougher road to the Super Bowl. Chiefs. I think it's Chiefs and Eagles. Bills. My money? My money is on remember what we said? Remember that topic I brought up yesterday? Does Howie Roseman need to make one more giant deal? Is this that deal? Did he have an epiphany that he knew one more deal was coming? Plus, he's coming off an injury. He's not going to be 100%. I say the Eagles are the top candidate to get him. And I think the Eagles land DeAndre Hopkins. Because he's the third guy, can rehab more. You're not leaning on him. And when you come off an injury, you're not better that year. You're better the following year. There'll be a bigger market for him. He'll be on a winning football team. He'll be a national exposure. And he'll have a quarterback and an organization he can trust. What other organization makes sense? The Chiefs? The Chiefs just let Tyreek Hill go. And if you're asking him to be a one coming off of an injury, I don't know that's feasible. Could he be a one next year at 32? See, he's in the land of crossover right now of being one of the best third down wide receivers over the last decade. He's a tremendous football player. I'd pick Philly. I'd pick Philly. 60 catches, 800 yards on the NFC champion, or do you want 60 catches, 800 yards on the Carolina Panthers? Finishing third in the NFC South. You think your market value goes up when you're there at 32? I'm not thinking it does. Every single person that has come to Philly and has signed a one-year contract has gotten a raise. Think of that. Everyone that has come to Philly on those one-year deals got raises. And then what you have now, you have CJ crying about being in Detroit. You know why CJ Gardner-Johnson's bitching and moaning and crying? He's crying because he hates the environment in Detroit. He's lying to you. He ain't telling you the truth. He misses what he had with his teammates at the NovaCare Center. He may not have a good taste in his mouth with front office people, but he misses showing up to work every day. You ever get a job someplace and you thought the grass was greener? I've done that in broadcasting. Man, is it a terrible thing to take the money, walk into the building, and hate everybody in the building? I got a job in Miami once, and I won't go too deep into it because I don't want to make this into that. But I worked at one place for 15 years. I loved 99% of the people I worked with. I walked into this one building, and I was there 11 months, and I hated every human being in the building. And I made twice the money, and I regretted going there. Hate that kind of environment. I hated going to work. And I was making twice the money. He got paid in Detroit. Hey, but just saying this. Why would you not pick the Eagles? Why would you not? And as Tone said, he threw that out there. Here are the teams that I like. And by the way, look at the teams that he mentioned. Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. He didn't name teams. He named quarterbacks. And aren't those pretty much the guys? Aren't those, wouldn't you say those five guys, you could probably say Lawrence. And if some of you Cowboy guys want to throw Dak in, but what would we not say that if you were talking about going to play for a quarterback, and if you were going to build your franchise around a quarterback, it'd be one of those five guys, right? Bills, Chargers, Eagles, Ravens, Chiefs. Hopkins is not going, I want to play for those teams. He goes, I want to play for Justin Herbert, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, or Patrick Mahomes. By the way, my boy Philly 500 is going to join me, 4:30 Eastern time. Holy cow. Unbelievable. I told you this the other day. What did I tell you? Miracle 1 had to happen. Hopkins getting released. It happened. And now, do you know what Arizona, actually it's almost a gift on what Arizona did for him. Because now he gets to pick a team that he could turn into a Super Bowl contender. He's that guy. Don't kid yourself. He's that guy. Dude. Why would he want to play in Dallas? On the other side, why? CeeDee Lamb, him, and Brandon Cooks. They would have a better 3 than the Eagles. The Eagles have the better duo, but they would have 3 better. Well, wait. You would still have better pass catchers because of Goddard. You would still have better pass catchers because of Goddard. Yeah, you got to look at pass catching. And Swift, too. Well, they got Pollard. Pollard's better than Swift. So, but the tight end still changes the room for Philly. When they said Dak, he nodded no. He's a great player, but would he adjust to not being that guy? Steve, he's coming off a knee injury, knowing full well he's not going to be 100%. Plus, get this, maybe he's not active one week as he gets his body back into football shape. And get this, what if AJ or Devontae go down? What do you have as depth at wideout? This guy protects your depth too. If you lose one of those, you still have 2 ones. See, you would have an abundance of riches with a guy like Hopkins, but we all know this. Last year was an anomaly. Nobody puts 22 guys they started the season out with in the Super Bowl and start the Super Bowl the same 22 you had when you started September 8th. Nobody does that. Okay? And don't expect that. I mean, you protect yourself on depth issues at wide receiver. So let's look at the offense. I don't know if I can. So, Tone, check it out. Look at it. Listen. AJ, left side. Put Hopkins in the slot. Oh, there's your slot receiver. Oh, my God. You don't think DeAndre Hopkins in the slot? So, wait. AJ Brown is your Y. Your Z... Your Z is Devontae Smith, and your slot receiver is D-Hop. And your running back is DeAndre Swift. Oh, shit. The tight end is Goddard. If I'm a D coordinator and I look, and then, wait, do you know what's even better than what I just said? Your skilled guys. I'm getting goosebumps talking about this because I'm thinking as a D coordinator now, wait a minute, whoa. It's okay. Here's their skilled players. A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith, DeAndre Hopkins, and DeAndre Swift. And Goddard's your tight end. Yeah, but what about the O-line? That's the best part of the team. While you're worrying about all these guys, the Eagles are running the ball on you for 300 yards. And if you want to try to stop the run, hey, Hoss, you ain't stopping RPO when you got them fools out there running around. Do you know what this would look like? This would look like recess. Or this would look like when, like, kindergarten's out and school's out. They'd be running all over the place. You'd be like, where the hell are they? Wait, whoa. Dude, how would you defend that? Only thing you could do is, first and foremost, try to stop the run. Well, good luck to that. They've been either 1 or 2 the last 2 years in running the ball. Oh, man. Dude, hey, by the way, we have a ton of content today. And I have a ton of content, and yet that landed on my desk. Whew. School's out for the summer? No, Neil. If you're a D coordinator and you got to play the Eagles on your schedule, school's in early. You got to go to summer school. Yeah. We're playing the Eagles this year? Yeah, Sills. Well, we have to go to summer school, boys. Okay? We have to go to summer school. Oh, man. Dude. Hey. Micah Parsons, who are you covering? Hopkins, Swift, or Goddard? And then Lane's bulldozing you. Shit. Not a team in the NFC, including the Niners, could beat that team. I told you, once he got cleared of that contract, Arizona was never going to keep him. Told you, I thought it'd be closer to camp. But it was almost like they did him a favor. See, to me, you know how they could have really hosed him? They could have cut him right before training camp. But there were probably bonuses, and the Bidwills are known to being cheap. There was probably you know what? I guarantee you there's probably a bonus on there if he was on the roster after June 1. There's probably a bonus in there somewhere, and they didn't want to pay him, so they cut him loose. The same way that they tried to screw over Derek Carr. There's probably some sort of roster bonus in there if he was going to be put on the 90-man camp roster where he got $2, $3, $4 million or some shit like that. Remember I told you the other day and everyone was laughing at me? This D-Hop thing could be a thing. Well, now it's becoming a thing. Now it's becoming a thing. All right, hour 2's coming up. I've got a top 25 college football. We'll do that later in the show. By the way, I saw Pro Football Focus's top 32, was it? Offensive linemen. I got my top 10. Your football team got a little bit of disrespect by Pro Football Focus also. I want to hit on that. We also, I want to hit on that as well. We're going to do that. By the way, some really, really great compliments are being thrown around Jalen Carter. I want to hit on those. Please hit the like button. Hour number 2. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News?
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screams. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
The greatest fans on earth. It's a bold statement, but would you expect anything less from Philadelphia? 58 years of heartache creates a toughness, a grit, a resolve not found in most. Sure, our prayers were answered, but now that we've had a taste, we're looking for more. Pondley Hockey, official partner of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Go passionately. Go fearlessly. Go confidently.
Go Birds!
Go confidently towards your goals with First Trust, Philly's hometown bank for nearly 90 years, and the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. We're focused on getting you over the goal line. So go with conviction, go with trust,
Go Birds!
and go forward with us by your side. First Trust Bank, the official bank of Philadelphia dreams. Oh, and go Birds.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake a mom. Mama, go up, mama!
She did it.
Again?
You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh.
Mike Sales, National Football Show. Appreciate you all coming aboard. Thank you so much for stepping in. Philly 500 will be with us, our boy at bottom of the hour. We'll get his thoughts on Hopkins. Also, some topics that we have. Want to get his opinion on it as we get ready for Memorial Day weekend. You know, the Cowboys are in OTAs right now. And I don't know how the Cowboys have circled around to where now all of a sudden Kellen Moore was some sort of bad guy or scapegoat when they were scoring 40 points a game, leading the NFL in total yardage, and Dak was putting up a shitload of numbers, and they were doing so well. That when was the play calling ever an issue in Dallas? I don't ever remember anyone going play calling was an issue. It was Dak throwing ill-advised picks. When did that become a topic all of a sudden? And we're also going to do this now. Mike McCarthy now, we're going to find out who he is. We're going to find out if Mike McCarthy's a good coach or not. For 13 years, he had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers. Now we're going to know, is this guy a really good coach or not? So now we're going to get a true answer on Mike McCarthy. Is Mike McCarthy in the conversation with Sean Payton? They pretty much have the same record. Or has he just been the beneficiary of having Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers? I think it's the latter. Until he proves otherwise, I mean, has he shown you? Now, then again, he wasn't the play caller. It was Kellen Moore. But I don't ever remember the Cowboy problems being play calling. That's kind of like a manufactured scapegoat deal. All of a sudden now, well, you know, Dallas is really going to, hey, oh my God, you know, having Mike McCarthy in my ear, it's really great. And you're like, okay, well, I don't ever remember anyone really overly bitching about Kellen Moore's play calling. You know what I mean? So it's just like the Cowboys coming up with these manufactured reasons why they think they've upgraded something. I do think they've had a good offseason. But again, here's a question mark on, I say that there's a bigger question mark on Mike McCarthy than there is even almost on Nick Sirianni. By the way, I've got my top 32 NFL head coaches. I saw Russ Tucker. I saw that he ranks them. I want to do that. And I think he's nuts on Sirianni. Okay, and where he had him ranked. He's not a top 5 coach. That's just because, again, here's a guy in Ross Tucker who works for the Eagles. Hey, I guess working for somebody gives you some latitude to kind of give you a bullshit list. That's no reason to put a coach like Nick Sirianni ahead of somebody like even Sean McVay. Sean McVay is a hell of a play calling coach. I wouldn't call Nick Sirianni a great coach. You know what I call Nick Sirianni? A great babysitter. So it just shows you. I saw that. I'm like, come on, man. Just because you work for the Eagles, don't turn it into a charade. Okay? Fly, he does preseason games for the Eagles. And he goes on IP. If you go on IP as an analyst, you're not talking shit on the Philadelphia Eagles. Okay? You're not. The DeAndre Hopkins story. I love it. Miracle One had to happen, and it did. Okay? And it did. Now we see what he does. All right. I wrote down a comment that I heard Jason Kelsey make. And this is about Jalen Carter. Pretty tough to sit here and make an assessment on a football player because you've seen him in limited action. And quite frankly, we really haven't seen him in gear yet. You've only seen him in helmets and shorts. So Jason Kelsey is kind of giving you the frosting on top of the cake when it comes to Jalen Carter. And he was asked a question about him. And he was asked to kind of compare on what he sees with Jalen Carter. And he threw a name out, and I was pretty shocked, and I was impressed. Let me say something to you. When a guy like Jason Kelsey throws a compliment out, or somebody puts something out there like him, he's not just going to do it for shits and giggles. He's going to be very cognizant of the people that he's played against and respectful of the people that he's played against in the past. So he's not just going to be like an analyst like me or anyone else or like Ross to go out there and just do something for oneself purpose. It's not going to happen. He's going to be very respectful of the people that he has played against or currently playing against. So he's going to be there with this. He said, if I had to make a comparison, and I'm paraphrasing here, it would be to somebody like the guy in Washington, Daron Payne. I almost swallowed my tongue. You're comparing Jalen Carter in how he moves preliminary-wise to Daron Payne? Holy shit, Eagles got a superstar. There is no question. With that kind of, and by the way, a guy like that, he has the eyeball test. A guy like Kelsey who has seen everything in front of him and gone through tons of camps and OTAs, he's a guy that could spot a guy who's going to make it and a guy who's not going to make it probably in about 30 plays. And he'll know. And so far on the preliminary, Daron Payne, okay? Somebody like that. I mean, dude, Jalen Carter's going to be the best defensive lineman by the end of the season that the Eagles have. I have no doubt about that. He's going to be your best defensive football player. Okay? He's going to be your best football player. And I'm just, hey. And then he started saying, you see a little bit of the fact in how he can move his hips like Jonathan Allen. These are all massive compliments of bona fide star football players. Likes the way he moves his hips, likes the way he goes. The question mark will be hands. And that's a great comment by him because the hands are so important on getting those guys off. The number one thing that great offensive lineman, and I'll tell you exactly what makes Jason Kelsey so great. What makes Kelsey so great is his ability to be patient with his hands. He'll give you false punches. He'll punch you, jump on you quick. He plays that cat-mouse game with you out there with his hands because he's so good at it. The key component when you're a defensive lineman, don't let those guys get their hands on you because once an offensive lineman gets his hands on you, you're finished. You've watch Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald is constantly hand slapping, constantly doing this, constantly turning and constantly working the points, keeping those hands off. Because when you keep your hands off him and you keep that guy's hands off you, what a lot of young guys do, and this is what Jordan Davis did a lot. Jordan was working his hands, but you know what he would do? He would stop working his feet. You can't work your hands and stop your feet because you're blocked. Because then all the offensive lineman has to do, you're just working your hands, you're in front of them, you're blocked. What Donald does that's so great, and all the great three techniques, and what they do, they're working their feet, getting up the field and getting depth, but slapping hands, keeping those hands. What happens when you get people's hands off you? Then you're working points. This is what Mulata struggles on is the second move. And the second move is getting back in position to get that hand out, because you know what happens to Jordan Mailata sometimes? He'll get beat on the second move on his shoulder and his outside shoulder. And then he gets so overprotective of that, guy will come inside on him. And he's worked. I think his injury played a factor in that last year a lot. Okay? But Kelsey's patient. Kelsey's patient. That's a great compliment. That's an absolutely fabulous compliment that he gave the kid. He's talking about people that know how to use their hands and play the position. Look, let me say this to you. Fletcher Cox. Okay, Fletcher Cox is maybe the most underrated defensive lineman the Philadelphia Eagles have ever had. He is the most underrated. I'm telling you, he's a borderline Canton man. Like, he could get in. Watch this. Hey, Yale, Bryant Young. You know, Bryant Young just went into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I don't think Bryant Young's better than Fletcher Cox. I thought about somebody who just went in recently. I think Bryant Young was a fine ball player. He came back from a catastrophic leg injury. I think he was a fine ball player. But I do not believe that Bryant Young was a better football player than Fletcher Cox. I do not. You tell me, who would you draft? I would draft Fletcher Cox more. He's bigger. He's stronger. He's faster. He takes up more space in the middle. Okay? To me, Niners all day goes, Sills is a Fletcher Cox fan. I have always been. He's just older. Now I'm a fan. I've always been a fan. Callie Green goes, Sills. DJ Fluker, he was an absolute train wreck with the Chargers. I covered him. Thought he was a train wreck. Fat, out of shape, lazy. That's why he never lived up to the billing. But the problem that you have here is that with that take, if Jeff Stoutland okayed him to be worked out, it's Jeff Stoutland. Could Stoutland sand off the bad habits that he has? Probably. Okay? That's exactly right, JM. Sills became a Cox fan when he compared him to Sue's stats. I didn't know he was that close. I didn't think that both players were that close in sacks, 71-70. I would have swore to you that Sue was a better ball player. That's not the case. Sue was probably a better ball player earlier on in Detroit in his first 5 years. Okay? But I think Fletcher has kind of evened the game out a bit. There's a shot that Fletcher Cox, can somebody look this up? I think Warren Sapp has 90. I think Sapp has 96 sacks. Fletcher's at 70. So in the next 3 years, he gets 18 sacks and he ends up with 88 as an interior D lineman. And he played on one team and has one Super Bowl now and 2 NFC championship rings. Man, it's a great resume. Sapp has 96.5. Now, Sapp is the defensive player of the year, and he's a better football player. He's not quite as big, but he's a better football player. But you're talking about one of the top 3 techniques in the history of the league. Personally, Sapp, to me, is a better football player than Aaron Donald because he played the run. Sapp was on that great Bucs defense that gave up no yardage on the run and got after people. Simeon Rice was on that team. Chidi Ahanatu, Derek Brooks, John Lynch, Barber, all them guys were on that team. They had a really great football team. And that was a really great defensive unit. And Monty Kiffin was a D coordinator. And Tony put the whole defense together. No comment, M. Reyes. No comment. I can't do Kane on Kane. Personally, though, Jerome was better than Sapp. Jerome was better than Sapp. He was a better ball player. Jerome had quicker feet, I thought. And he was a bigger dude than Warren. Warren's a 310-pounder, but Jerome went around 318, 320. And Jerome could run a 4.8. And Jerome had great wiggle hips and could get around the horn quicker. He was good at that. And he was better than Cortez. Cortez was a great ball player. Sapp was better than John Randall. Aaron Donald plays like Sapp. The only difference is, though, 215, Aaron Donald doesn't really care about playing the run. Now, that's today's NFL, so that's not so much on him. You know, Russell Maryland was a good ball player, but, you know, JM, I never thought an exceptional ball player. I thought he was solid. I know he was the number 1 overall pick. I get it. I never got that. But, okay, I mean, I thought Russell was a really good player. I just never really looked at him as a guy where maybe I'm jaded because I never really saw. I mean, I taught him everything. So, and I taught the coach that coached him. Jerome and I taught Butch, and Butch taught him. So I don't know. It just, maybe it's because of that I'm a little jaded. Because, you know, the things that I saw him do in football games, I thought he was a really good player. I thought he was a really good football player. Won 3 national titles in college and won 3 Super Bowl rings. I don't know how you get any better than that. Richard Seymour is a better player than Vince Wilfork. Kid from Georgia is a better player. I think Vince was a great defensive tackle. By the way, that's another good one. Richard Seymour and Fletcher Cox. Seymour is more versatile. If I had to pick, Sills, who would you want on your team in your D-line? Richard Seymour or Fletcher Cox in their primes? Whew, that's a good one, man. Probably Fletcher by a nose. Probably Fletcher Cox by a nose. Now, again, Richard Seymour could play in a 34 and 43 and a 50 front. So he had more versatility to him. I don't think you can line Fletcher in a 7 and line him up at an outside end to set the edge. I don't think he has that skill to do that. Seymour can do that. Seymour's a pretty good athlete. I think he's a better athlete than Fletcher. Fletcher's a better defensive tackle, though. He's a better DT. I'd say Fletcher. And plus he gets sacks in his prime, and he got penetration, and he was able to get back into the secondary. Absolutely, or back into the backfield. Would Seymour thrive in this big rules era? Yeah, because the rules don't really apply to the D tackles. They apply more to linebackers and corners and safeties. Undefenseless wide receivers, the pick plays now, all that shit. Now, back then they didn't call that stuff. Today they call all that shit. And defense is the only thing that they can, because a lot of people, what they like to do is run that. That's what, if you notice, that's why they've moved the referee from the middle of the field to the back end, further back, because a lot of offensive coordinators are using that referee as a pick play. And now they call that play. Having that ref in the middle of the field, shit, man. Bill Walsh used to run that play with Jerry Rice all the time. He'd run right in front of the referee. And that DB would have to not hit him because he'd use him as as kind of like the goalpost. Cox isn't making the Hall of Fame? Probably. Okay, but again, Richard Seymour makes it, and so does Bryant Young. I don't think those guys are any better than him. Those guys aren't any better. Okay? Michael says, Sills, why didn't you not become a scout? I was offered a job with the Raiders. And the Browns. Raiders and Browns. What was the other team? College team. North Carolina as a scout or a recruiter for Butch. And I don't know. I'm probably stupid and I did it. Because you don't really have to be a good coach nowadays. Look at Jonathan Gannon. How that guy. Hey, by the way, Jonathan Gannon, he loses D-Hop now. Hey, you don't think Buda Baker's next, do you? Yeah. Buda Baker's got to be going, I'm next. They're going to cut his ass too. Maybe they cut D-Hop to keep him. That's probably what they did. Rob Peter to pay Paul. That's kind of probably what they did here. So that they could keep Buda Baker, they fired DeAndre Hopkins. Because he's younger. So, let me ask you this. So, if you're Kyler Murray, are you happy today or are you sad? Kyler Murray's got to be going, who are my wideouts again? So, you just jettison DeAndre Hopkins. Who am I throwing the ball to? Dude. And Hollywood Brown and Zach Ertz. Holy shit. Man. Dude, I'm sorry. Zach Ertz and Hollywood Brown is not going to move. I think the Arizona Cardinals, dog. I think I got to remember to bring that up with my boy Philly 500 with Jonathan Gannon and how Howie. I got to remind myself to do that. Hollywood Brown and Zach Ertz. Man, if you're Kyler Murray, you're going to have a lot more puss faces on the sidelines there, ain't you? Man, that kid, man, he's going to – oh, damn. Then you got lion-ass Jonathan Gannon. Holy cow. I'm very excited to see how this thing plays itself out here with DeAndre Hopkins. I won't lie to you, man. I think this thing – kick 8, and you see 49er guy, he's going to go to the Niners. Why? Who's throwing him the ball? Brock Purdy? One play Trey? Or the greatness of Sam Darnold? Listen to those dudes that they have. Now, look, I like the kid Purdy. The other two, I mean, so you got, hey, Brock Purdy's chicken wing. And then the other two, Trey Lance and Sam Darnold. And you got a guy, hey, does anybody on the planet believe Kyle Shanahan when Kyle Shanahan says this? Yeah, man, this guy's a top flight talent. I've never seen anything. I'm like, dog, nobody on the planet believes you, man. Holy cow. You see, the one thing that we do here with Big Sills, we get truth tellers here. And what we like to do also is, see, we're big conspiracy guys. What did I say? I said this 3 days ago. And I'm going to bring Philly 500 up here in a second here. I said this DeAndre Hopkins thing is a real thing. But one thing has to happen first. Miracle 1. What's Miracle 1? He's got to be cut. And he was today. Let's bring in Philly 500.
This cigar is for when DeAndre Hopkins signs with the Philadelphia Eagles. I got it all ready to go. This is a must situation. So this is a must sign him. What the Eagles could do would be unprecedented. Can you imagine Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and DeAndre Hopkins on the same team, on the field at the same time, in a non-Pro Bowl way? That's unbelievable. The Eagles got a great shot at this, man. We got a shot.
And you have Goddard on the seam at tight end and Swift coming out of the backfield. This is what I said. I put these 10 teams down, and I narrowed it down to these teams. You tell me if you buy into it or not, or maybe you want to add a team. I said the Bills, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Packers, the Jets, the Giants, the Ravens, the Rams, and the Seahawks. Now, this is how I erased some of these teams. Hopkins right now at 30-31, you want to play with Daniel Jones or Jordan Love. He ain't playing with them dudes right now. No. They're off the list. You really think he wants to go and play 1 year in New York with the Jets, not knowing if Rodgers is back next year, and you got to pay that guy $106 million? That's not happening. Name me one wide receiver that the Ravens have ever had that was a star player during the Lamar Jackson era. He doesn't make them better.
I don't know.
The Rams.
And they signed Odell.
To a $15 million deal. The Rams, Matthew Stafford, shit, they tried trading him in the offseason. Yep. Seahawks, sorry, Gino. That ain't it. Cowboys, why would I go to Dallas when they never win and I'm not going to go anywhere? If I catch 800 yards and 60 catches in Dallas, that's not doing anything for me. So I rationalized it down to this. Chiefs, Bills, and Eagles. Where the Eagles and Chiefs get to do this. They get to pitch winning. And he's coming off a knee injury, Philly. So he's going to be open to being a 2/3. You get 80 catches, or say you get 60 catches in Philly for 750 yards. That's going to be a monster year for you. You get 60 catches, 750 yards in Carolina, your market value goes down. Give me your takes.
I think it comes down to 3 teams too. I actually agree with your teams because they're on the list of teams that he said, right? There were 5 teams. I think Baltimore kind of already blew their load, and I think the Chargers are too cheap. So I think it comes down to 3 teams I could see. Kansas City, Buffalo, and Philly make a lot of sense. We know Buffalo did inquire about him during, early in the offseason. So that's quite possible. Dallas, I don't know if Dallas will do it or not, but that if I was the Cowboys, I would be going all out to get them because I think they need to keep up with the Eagles in that way. But I mean, it just if you look at these teams, I'm not sure what Buffalo's salary cap is. Kansas City probably could make it work, and that would be real scary. But then the Eagles have $13 million under the cap. Why not do this? I think we got a shot. I think we got a legitimate shot at this.
How about this? 1 year, $13 million, couple million maybe in incentives. So you have AJ in the Y, you have Devontae at the Z, and in the slot, you have DeAndre Hopkins in the slot.
I know, it's crazy.
I mean, can I make these 2 predictions if that were to happen? Hurts would win the MVP and the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Eagles. I mean, here's the other thing: if you're Howie Roseman and you go to DeAndre Hopkins, you want to talk about winning. What great team in the NFL has a better road to the Super Bowl than the Eagles in the NFC? All those AFC teams are stacked. If you're the Eagles, you go DeAndre Hopkins. We got a weaker conference than you're going to get in the AFC. Why not come to Philly, you know?
Least
And you
amount
could
of
even move
resistance
them all
to
around.
get to the least amount of
Right.
resistance to get to the Super Bowl runs through the NFC.
Right.
Because if you go to
Yeah.
Baltimore, that means I got to run in there. I got to run into Josh Allen. I got to run into Burrow. I got to run into Mahomes and Herbert and
Right.
Trevor Lawrence and them dudes. Aaron Rodgers now with the Jets. I mean, dude, my chances of making it to the Super Bowl playing with the Ravens and the Chargers are minimal. My chances of getting to the NFC Championship game at a minimum are awful high.
Right.
And to me, see, I think his market value is going to be even bigger next February. Why? Because most teams right now, right, Philly? Well, they're after free agency. Everybody's cap is pretty much set. And, trying to get a guy like that on your roster is almost, you're going to have a smaller group of teams and the smaller group of teams are going to be the sorry-ass teams.
Right.
So your market's
right.
going to be next February and March.
Right. So you take a 1-year deal, you come and you try it for 1 year with the Eagles. You know, you and the Eagles, they don't even have to pay him salary cap money. They could just give him a big giant signing bonus, and they can make it work. Howie, that's the one thing with him is he manipulates the cap. I mean, I don't know. I can't think of a more talented trio. In a long time. Like I don't know if we've ever seen anything like that. I mean, this is crazy.
Would this be the best offense we've seen since the Rams team with Kurt Warner and them guys? The greatest show on turf.
Yeah, I think so. And not to mention, we could talk about all the weapons. They still got the best offensive line in football. I mean,
that's the best part of the line team too.
Yeah,
hey Philly,
I mean,
it's the best part of the team.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Eagles. I mean, it's such an uncommon thing that you get a DeAndre Hopkins release like that, and it's such a weird thing that the Eagles could ever be in this situation. I think you got to take advantage. I think you got to take a shot. And plus, I want to keep him off the Cowboys. Like if he goes to Philly, he's not on the Cowboys. So
and New York.
Think if I'm right, and New York, because if I'm one of those teams, I have to go hard after him. I do. I don't know if the Dallas will, but they should if they want to keep up with the Eagles.
I could see the Giants maybe wanting to do something here.
Right.
Because the Giants,
they need help on the outside.
They need help on the outside too. If you really invested in Daniel Jones, what a better way to be invested with him to bring in a player like they brought in A.J. Brown for Jalen Hurts last year. And you bring him in and see what he can do in the slot for you here. All right, I want to ask you this. I don't know if you saw the interview with Mike Florio and Howie Roseman.
I did,
those two guys were going back and forth. And I could have swore I saw Howie Roseman reading a prepared statement twice in a row, but he had this he had this thing memorized, dude. I mean,
right.
Am I wrong when I make this proclamation here? I'm sorry, dude. I think Jonathan Gannon was shady in how he got that job in Arizona, and I think he was working behind the scenes while he was the coordinator of the Eagles, even during Super Bowl week. And I think it perturbed the Eagles, the NFL. That's why there's prepared statements. And I don't care what anyone says. I believe that guy was not focused 100% at his task on beating Kansas City. Do you look at it that way and how he acted?
I totally look at it that way. And we've heard reports that he was smiling and laughing after the game in the locker room while everybody was dejected. So it kind of points that way. And the fact that Howie, I did see the clip, I was a little offended that he called him a conspiracy theorist, being that I am a real conspiracy theorist.
Me too.
But,
yes.
But the thing is the way that Howie had that statement, just kept saying the same thing. You could tell they were absolutely irate about what Jonathan Gannon did. There's no question in my mind. You know, he definitely pissed them off.
Who has been the biggest loss this offseason that the Eagles will have to try to replace? Of all the players that they've lost, who is the biggest loss?
I think immediately, like, this first year is Hargrave, because I don't think it's fair for Jalen to expect Jalen Carter to go in and have 11 sacks, but they did replace him in the long term. The position they really haven't, in my opinion, replaced yet is safety. I mean, we'll see what, this Kid City Brown does as a rookie, but I mean, they didn't replace the safety as far as I'm concerned yet. I don't know that they did. That's what I would say.
Are you still concerned about the linebacker position and the fact that there's only 4 guys on the team?
No, because I know how the Eagles value linebacker. It's just, people are like, well, why not spend the money? Why do you want to get DeAndre Hopkins? Spend the money on linebacker. They're never going to go out and do that. That's not how they do things. I think that the defensive line will be good enough. I think there's more of a realistic possibility they go after and they go out and sign DeAndre Hopkins or get another defensive end, like a Yannick Ngakoue before they go out and sign a linebacker. Just by the history of how they treat linebackers, I don't expect them to, and I think we'll be fine.
Do you agree? And I had a topic. It's funny, man. Yesterday, I think Howie I asked the question. Do you think Howie makes one more giant move before the start of the season? And hey, in Philly, is this it?
This could be it. This should be it. Do you realize how scared everybody's going to be if they sign DeAndre Hopkins? I do think he has another move. I think he has maybe 2 more moves. I think he's got one move right around now. And then I think you get one at training camp, because he always seems to make some sort of trade at training camp. But I do think there's a move, and I do think that DeAndre Hopkins is way more possible than some people actually may think out there, because it just makes too much sense for the Eagles to do that. Why not? Why not take advantage of the fact that you're not paying Hurts a ton of money, right? Because you guys contract. This is why you wanted that cap space for situations like this. You got to make it happen, Hey, listen, the way I see it is I don't need more kids, but I'm going to make some babies tonight. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to receive, but hey, boom,
I love it. Hey, 2 more last ones here for you. Let me throw this. Who has more wins this year, Shane Steichen or Jonathan Gannon?
Shane Steichen all the way.
A lot of conviction behind that one.
I think Gannon's an idiot. I mean, you just let DeAndre Hopkins go. Why you couldn't talk to the guy and figure a way to make it work?
Dude.
I hate that guy.
One last one here. Dude, the number one question mark in me going into September, getting ready for the season, or really even going into July for training camp. Dude, I don't know about Nakobe Dean, man. We're going to find out a little bit about this kid. I think he's the biggest question mark of all the players that we use the word potential with. And that includes Jordan Davis. That includes all these other guys. My opinion, I think he's the biggest question mark. Am I off?
No, I don't necessarily think you're off. I mean, I think it's fair because, he didn't play a lot last year and he is undersized. But, I'm hopeful. I'm very hopeful that he is going to be more impactful than people think. But I don't necessarily think you're off. I don't. To me, the biggest question marks, I really is the safety spot, because I don't know. I know they got some guys and brought some guys in, but until I see these guys on the field, I don't know if it's enough.
Well, do me a favor, man. Let me see that. Let me see that DeAndre Hopkins cigar again, man. Holy shit. Eagle fans
I
like
came
you
home
and everyone else will be there'll be no talking to you. And it'll be the great, like you said, that was a great comment you made. I never thought about it. I mean, what would be a better offense, the Pro Bowl or the Eagles?
Right. I know. I mean, you're gonna. It's just. I just think it's one of those things that come around. What, every 5 to 10 years that you have a chance to do something like this. I think you got to at least make an attempt. You got to at least
it'd be
make
the
the
greatest
call.
offense. It'd be the greatest offense they
Yeah.
ever had in their team's
would.
history.
It would.
I mean,
would.
shit,
And
they're almost there now.
Not to mention, you never know if somebody, and God forbid, somebody gets hurt. You have DeAndre Hopkins in there, you know? Why not? Why not do it? I think they should take a shot. And I'm ready.
What do you got planned for Memorial Day weekend? Smoking that D-Hop cigar.
Smoking these, making babies, and just grilling and chilling, you know?
And gabagool.
Gabagool. That's right. My doctor told me I had to cut down on the gabagool, though. So I'm trying to be good.
Hey, brother, I love you, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Too,
Anytime you need me, let me know, man. I appreciate
Thank
you. Have
man.
a great Memorial Day.
Appreciate you. You too. Peace.
That is my friend, Philly 500. All right. Hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save in southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
EAGLES, Eagles.
D-Hop! You see, I like to tell you guys things that, you know what's funny? You know what Tone always says? Tone always goes like this. Sills just makes people think. So you think I throw topics out just to throw topics out just for shits and giggles? I throw things out to try to make your football team better, try to make your players better. Dude, I don't mail shit in. I've never mailed a broadcast show in. I never will. You know why? Because of you. You guys come here every day, some of you, to see a show and to see content. Why would I do a layup on you? I was talking to my aunt about that. I don't do layups. Look, I'm very limited in many things in my life. But the things that I've had passion for, I've never been limited. Everything I've ever wanted to do in my life, I've done. Okay? I have failed, but there's been things in my life I've wanted to do. Okay? Yeah, thank you, man. That's a compliment. Because you guys come here, man. Hey, I'll tell you one thing that you guys have taught me something that radio never taught me, and I was in radio 27 years. Wait, 27, 28 years, some shit like that. I never realized how much bullshit I was talking on the air that no one cared about. Because let me tell you something about YouTube and JAKIB. Man, when you start talking shit that no one cares about, nobody cares. And you know it immediately. I wish that I had had that in my radio career, because 70% of the shit I talked about, I would never have had. And some of the dopiest guests, I would never have put them on. Okay? You got to put people that are relevant on. You got to put people that move the meter on. And that's what we do. Dude, I don't put stiffs on. I don't put a lot of sports writers on because nobody knows who the frig they are. I put people like Rick Barry on. I don't care how old he is. Rick Barry's one of the greatest hoop players of all time. I put on Bruce Arians, guys like that, guys who have done it. That's why I kind of like athletes and coaches and people that have been in the sport like Keith Jones and shit like that. I don't put on nobodies. Dude, if you're not a bigger star than Big Sills, hey, Tone, if you're not a bigger star than Big Sills, there's a good shot you ain't on. Hey, Dream, that's a kind compliment, man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. By the way, top of the hour, where does Nick Sirianni fit in the landscape of coaches in the NFL? I want to hit on that. We're going to do that at the top of the hour. I want to show you a little disrespect here, though, that your Eagle team has. Pro Football Focus came out with the top 10 guards in the NFL. Zach Martin, number 1. Quentin Nelson, Indianapolis. He's a really good football player. Joel Bonanno, the kid from the Cleveland Browns, really great ball player too. Philly, man, you're awesome, brother. Thank you so much for it. You bet. You too, man. You have yourself a great Memorial Day. You are so kind to me, man. And by the way, his show and his channel are absolutely destroying it too. And I couldn't be happier. See, I'm going to tell you a little secret about Big Sills here. I root for Philly 500, for Tone, and for everyone to get ahead in life. 99% of the people that I work with in broadcasting, they don't root for other broadcasters. No, I don't want you to come take my job and you're better than me. I'm kind of like Ben Roethlisberger in that, but I root for you, dude. I want everyone. I think there's a slice for everybody. Okay? And by the way, for the record, I think it's fantastic that Tone is in the broadcasting business. We need more minorities in the broadcast business because there's not enough voices. And I've always been a proponent of that. Can't just have a bunch of white old guys talking sports all the time. You've got to have more diversity in it. And I say that because one day I won't say it. At 4, Chris Lindstrom. That kid from Atlanta is turning out to be a pretty good offensive guard. Joe Tunney, Kansas City. That kid's moving his way up. But here, I want to get – look, there's 10 guys. There's 10 guys here. They got Isaac Seumalo ranked over Landon Dickerson. Wait a minute, Eagle 20. He's 15th. Pro Football Focus thinks Isaac Seumalo is a better guard than Landon Dickerson. I totally do not see that. Dude, Landon Dickerson was a freaking great football player last year. I was like, that is – so you thought the guy who left was a better player than Landon? How many people in Philadelphia really who watched that team, or how about this? The great football people that watch this. Okay, the great football people that watch our show, did you really think that Isaac Seumalo had a better year last year than Landon Dickerson? Man, I did not. I thought the only guy that I thought was better than him, maybe the guy in Cleveland, the guy in Indianapolis, and Zach. Outside of that, these other guys that they have, Shaq Mason, I think the kid in Tampa, okay, I mean, I thought he got hurt. Man, I thought that was complete disrespect. Isaac Seumalo is a better offensive guard according to Pro Football Focus than Landon Dickerson. I do not see that. Now, I kind of agree with them here, but I put down my top 10 offensive tackles as we get ready for training camp coming up in July. Here are the top 10 offensive tackles in the sport. Trent Williams, 49ers, is the best. He is. He's the best. He's going to Hall of Fame too. Trent's a great football player. And by a paper-thin margin, paper-thin, Lane Johnson. Now, I'm gonna make you a comment here. Lane Johnson being the second best tackle on this list, there's no other right tackle on it. He's been the best right tackle I have seen in the NFL in a long time. Dude, and he's a great player. He is a great player. Wait till you again, and I'm glad to see. By the way, for the record, Pro Football Focus had your 2 tackles in the top 10. I think they had them in the top 6. Here's my third, Laramie Tunsil. I'll always remember draft day, Laramie, but you've turned out to be a heck of a pro. I think he's the third best offensive tackle going into the 2023 season. Seals is laying a Hall of Famer. Slam dunk. Like, how about this, Fly? I think you'll have a fairly decent debate, but not a long one. Hey, Fly, I think he's better than Joe Thomas. Okay? I think he's better than Joe Thomas. I would take him over Joe Thomas. Christian Darrisaw from the Vikings, I think, is fourth. I think he's an outstanding player. Andrew Thomas, Giants, fifth. Finally got a tackle right ever since Dave Gettleman got his ass out of there. I got Jordan Mailata sixth. You have 2 of the top 6 tackles offensively in the NFL. Hey, just for the record, there's no other team in the top 10 that has 2 tackles on the same team. just keeping it fair here. Okay? Tristan Wirfs, I got him. Buccaneers 7th. He was hurt a bunch last year. He's probably in the top 4 offensive tackles. Okay? He's probably top 4 when healthy. Same with this kid here, Rashawn Slater, Chargers, banged up last year. I think hey, am I right when I say this? Did he miss the entire season last year? Or did he did he get hurt early on last year and he missed like 14 games last year? He's a heck of a ball player. Guy's from Northwestern, I believe. But I thought he played a shitload the year previous and got hurt last year. Colton Miller, Raiders, good-looking prospect. They have a good-looking player there. And I got Penei Sewell, Lions. Those are your top 10 best offensive tackles. And I'm going to make a point to you on something. You ain't ever going to see these guys cut, nor are you ever going to see these guys on the open market unless they're making way over the top money. You don't see, when you saw Orlando Brown, you saw how fast Orlando Brown got scooped up. You don't see old linemen out there on shit, man. Andre Dillard got a psycho deal to go play in Tennessee. I mean, Andre Dillard. Now, again, there's always a great pitch for a guy like Dillard. Why? Well, hey, so what? I didn't start in Philly. Okay. You got guys on that offensive line that are billionaires. I mean, and you got 2 future Hall of Famers. And you've got 5 Pro Bowl. Do you understand something here? That Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Jason Kelsey, and Lane Johnson, you could have 4 All-Pros this year. If you put D-Hop on that team, those guys, all 4 probably are All-Pro. Power Hours coming up. We're going to look at Nick Sirianni when we come back out of the timeout. Do me a favor. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Google TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
And the big story on Action News.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Heading down the shore, have a ball once more.
Here, imaginations run wild and time stands still. Because here, you can find the best of the Jersey Shore, all on one 5-mile island. So leave the old you behind and get lost in the woods.
Wild, wild, wild wood days.
Score and save at Southeastern PA and Delaware with Colony Pools this football season, and let the experts close your pool with a custom Merlin safety cover in green for the birds. And if you join our Winter Watch team, we'll give you another 20% off, and Colony Pools will handle it all. Keep your tiles on your pool, not in your pool. Fly with Colony right now, Birds fans. Visit flywithcolony.com.
Hi everybody, my name's Jason Lombardi. I'm an inspector at DryTech. At DryTech we offer 3 major services, the first one being basement waterproofing. The second service we offer is foundation and structural repairs. And then the third service that we offer is mold remediation. If you feel you are having a waterproofing issue, give DryTech a call or check us out online.
Eagles. Eagles.
Big Stills Power Hour. As we lead into Memorial Day weekend, we'll be off Monday. By the way, Tuesday, we already got it lined up. Kevin Frazier from Entertainment Tonight, a man I worked with at Fox Sports when we were there on the Fox lot. Our dear friend. God, I've known Kevin Frazier 24 years. He has to be at Entertainment Tonight at least 15 years now. God, me and him. He goes, when do you need me, Sills? Man, I love that guy. We've been friends. We started, Tony Bruno, myself and him, we started Fox Sports Radio. I was the first hire in the history of the network. Tony was second. And Kevin Frazier, I think after Fox Sports Radio, I think Kevin went to Fox and then he went to Entertainment Tonight. He says, Sills, man, trying to get the columns all set up for like best foreign film, independent film, getting these names. You think you were getting ready for the NHL Stanley Cup Finals. I'm like, I get it, man. I would never want to be involved in something like that. By the way, we're going to talk a little Nick Sirianni here in a second. I want to throw a stat at you here. Who has been the biggest winner from the 2020 quarterback class? Who's been the biggest winner? Who has the most wins? Oh, wait. Oh, interesting. I don't know why those numbers are wrong. Oh, it's got to be because of postseason. Okay, well. Oh, that's right. Jalen didn't play that first year like that. You're right. Here are the top winners from the 2020 quarterback class. Jalen Hurts is 23-11. Tua Tagovailoa, 21-13. Joe Burrow's 24-17-1. Herbert's 25-24. I got to tell you, that's a pretty good quarterback class. Every guy's got an over 500 winning record. That's not bad. And if you think of Burrow had to go into a shitty situation because it's Cincinnati. That's, if you're looking at that class, that 2000 class, would we not agree that a Super Bowl is going to come out of this class with one of these quarterbacks? Right? Hurts, Tua, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert. Someone's going to win a Super Bowl. Shit, two of the guys have already been to Super Bowls. Burrow and Hurts, right? Both of them almost won it. This is a pretty good class. And to make what Jalen's doing, Jalen wasn't a first rounder. These other dudes were first rounders. That's pretty impressive. That's a good-looking group. That's what I'm talking about when you're talking about a good quarterback class. That's got to be one of the better classes that we've seen in recent memory. Plus, Hurts had to revive a team from 4-11-1. Yes. Yeah. And the chaos in the front office and the quarterback situation and the money and all that and the bitching and all. Yeah, the Alshon Jeffries kind of shit that were. This guy sucks. I hate him so much. I hate that guy. Dude, you're a wide receiver. Shut up and play. And maybe it's because he dropped that pass in New Orleans. Hey, guys. Maybe it's because he dropped that pass in New Orleans. That'll always get on that guy's ass. I swear. Dude, I know I've brought this up numerous times. I'll do it one more time. I sat on my couch And I said this, that dude drops that pass, Nick Foles is going to be traded. And that's what happened. If that dude catches that pass, Carson Wentz is traded. The whole franchise, what would have been for the franchise if they had gone down the other route and kept Foles? You know that they thought that. He drafted both guys. One guy was an MVP. Okay? Dude, he catches that pass and you make it to another NFC title game? You tell me, are you, hey, let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Do you truly believe would Howie Roseman have moved off of Nick Foles if he had gotten to 2 straight NFC title games? Would they have still moved off him if he got to 2 NFC title games in a row? Do you think? No? Hell no, says Tone. Okay? Yo, I don't think so. Hey, Foles would have been quarterback number 1. Dude, look at that decision right there. That decision. Okay, obviously, the news of the day. I'm going to get to the coaches. I saw Russ Tucker rank these guys. Sorry, Ross. I know you get a paycheck from the Eagles and WIP. But, dude, not here. We can't have that. We can't have that. And I love Ross Tucker. He's been on the show a boatload of times. Can't have Nick Sirianni's the 5th best coach or whatever hell he had him. I was like, come on, guy. He's a cheerleader. I think he's doing good things. I'm not, but he's no Sean McVay. Let's not get crazy here. Okay? He has no influence on the offense. He has no influence on the coaching staff. He has no influence on the culture. He's a Pied Piper. Just like one of your reporters in Philadelphia said, he still has to work on himself in the culture. Look, but he knows how to maneuver around the front office. He's doing a good job. He's not in the way. And dude, guys get in the way. Hey, before I move on and we go to this list, how many people believe this about Josh McDaniel? You know, Devontae Adams, he has built up equity in the building so that he gets to sit there and he gets to really have an opinion. Seals, their skill in not screwing it up. Very true. Very true. There's skill in that. Hey, how many people believe that this guy here, coming from the Belichick tree where everything is locked down, where he's saying, you know, Devontae Adams has built up that kind of equity where he can make any kind of comments he wants? Does anybody believe him? I don't believe you, dude. You didn't act that way in Denver. You didn't come from a coaching staff that believes in that. You come from our way. Shit, man. You kicked Tom Brady in the teeth in New England. And I'm supposed to believe that you run an organization in Las Vegas, now with the Raiders, that you give the players, quote, autonomy to say what they feel? Do you actually believe that? Who in their right? This is the kind of bullshit on why Josh McDaniels is failing as a head coach, because no one believes you. No one believes that shit. They didn't respect Tom Brady at the end. They didn't want Tom Brady or Gronk making any comments, but now McDaniels has got an epiphany here, and he runs his ship differently in Las Vegas. Really? No, here's the truth. He didn't want to shit on his best player, and he didn't want his best player knowing that he's a diva, and he's bitching in May right now to go south on him and not want to be in the building and start doing things that maybe were counterproductive to the Raiders' success. It was self-preservation is the only reason he said that shit. Come on, man. Hey, I will say this, though. Since Tom Brady's minority owner now of the Raiders, Jimmy Garoppolo, man, he ain't the guy. You think Brady dusted off and goes, you know what? I'll come out. Play a little ball here for the Raiders. Let's see what we got here. Let's go. You got an owner throwing the ball around the yard. All of a sudden, Brady, all of a sudden, one weekend, there's number 12. You're like, I thought they retired that number. Is that Ken Stabler? No, it's Tom Brady. What? He's a minority owner. He's a minority owner, man. Can I tell you why hey, real quick, again, I'm going to move on here. Can I tell you why I think Brady's the minority owner of the Raiders? I think the NFL is going to try to figure a way to get that team away from Mark Davis. I do. I think to get the Davis family once and for all out of the NFL, what a better way to get that guy out of the NFL than to have Tom Brady be the owner of the Raiders. It's a great way to get him out of there. Something goes sideways, they vote him out. There's another situation. Look at the situations that they had. One player kills someone, DUI, John Gruden, all that shit with the Al Davis in the day and all that. What a great way to get rid of Mark Davis and give the team to Tom Brady. And Tom Brady's the managing general partner. Okay. What happens if Mark Davis passes away? Hey, I'll tell you this, Yale. There'll be a really unfortunate barber out there who was that guy on the what was that? It wasn't the Munsters. It was, what was it? Maybe it was the Addams Family. Dude, he's got a haircut like that one kid on the Addams Family. I mean, every time I see Mark Davis, man, I keep always seeing the Addams Family. I don't know, man. That guy's got a really weird haircut. I mean, it looks like he's something out of the Addams Family. Like the mortician, what's his name's kid? Holy cow. All right, let me do this here. Best coaches in the National Football. What's his name there? Mark Davis looks like a 10-year-old that woke up from a 50-year-long. You're saying he's Rip Van Winkle? He changed it, I think. He changed his haircut. Pugsley, that's it. That's it. Mark Davis looks like Pugsley. Ow. Who's the owner of the Raiders? Pugsley. The owner of the Raiders looks like Pugsley on the Addams Family. Hey, great haircut, guy. Not that I should talk any, but holy cow. At least I look like a guy. At least I look like a man. This guy looks like he said like a 10-year-old guy who just woke up out of a 50-year-old nap. Hey, Pugsley, can you do me a favor? Who are you drafting in the third round? Hey, I should probably change this now. But I will change this. I've lined up because I saw Ross Tucker's list, and I put a list together of the top 32 NFL head coaches. And here's my list. I'm going to go from 32 up. And I start at 32 with a man that sold out the meanest fan base, the toughest fan base in the NFL, the Eagle fan base. Jonathan, I mean, if there's a guy that has a hit on him, he might be it. Because there's some dude in Philly going, I'm going to tell you something here. If I see that guy, I'm going to have a problem with him. Hoss, you better be careful if you roll into Lincoln Financial. I don't know why my eyes ain't winking, but I'm going to have a problem with your ass. You sold us out? I might have a problem with you, Junior. Hey, make sure when you get in your car, and if it don't start initially, if I were you, I'd get out of the car. Because if you hear it click, you might want to get out. Not that I know. Just saying. Hey, here's Jonathan Gannon leaving Lincoln Financial. Jesus Criminy, is that Luca Brasi standing next to my car? Is that Luca Brasi? All right. Number 31. I've got the greatness of Josh McDaniels. Holy cow. Hey, it just shows you here. So wait a minute. Josh McDaniels gets 2 opportunities to be a head football coach in the NFL, and Eric Bieniemy can't get 1. I wonder why. Oh, I don't know. Good grief. I got Arthur Smith at number 30. I don't think he's that horrible, but he's got to start winning. So I put him there. Hey, man, this is sad, but I got to put Todd Bowles at number 29. Head coach of the Bucs. The greatness of Shane Steichen. That's that's John McMullen's favorite play caller in the NFL. Shane Steichen, number 28. Number 27. I got Brandon Staley. LA Chargers. I don't get that. I don't get it. Greatest play caller of all time. What play did he call, Don? What play did he call that you went, wow? What was the play that he called? Can you guys remember? Name me one play Shane Steichen called that you went, wow. One play. I'll take one. Jonathan Gannon is Fredo. That is hilarious. Who's the head football coach of the Arizona Cardinals? It's Fredo. Fredo, I know it was you. Oh, my God, is that appropriate? QB draw. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough, man. Yes, sir. That's right. The quarterback draw. Okay. Are you 100% sure that was Jeff Stoutland that came up with that? Are you 100% sure it was Shane Steichen and it wasn't Jeff Stoutland? You're 100% sure on that? Okay. Fredo's the head coach of Arizona. Take of the day. I got Dennis Allen, number 26. Here's another guy. How do you get a job how do you give a job to that guy? He sucks. He sucks, man. DeMeco Ryans at 25 only because he hasn't done it. I wish nothing but great success for him there. Matt Eberflus. I will never remember that guy's name at the end of this year, that'll be the end of him. It's Chicago. Matt Eberflus. Matt Nagy. They like their Matts there, don't they? Hey, Matt Eberflus. Good luck to you, kid. Number 23. I got the Jets head coach. I think he's done a good job on defense. Okay, Robert Saleh. I don't know. He'll be back to being a DC soon. I wouldn't mind him in Philly. Number 22, former NFL Coach of the Year. I got Kevin Stefanski at 22. I got the guy McDaniel at 21, the head football coach of the Miami Dolphins. I like him. Number 20, Matt LaFleur. Dude, I don't think you're as good as you think you are. We're going to find out with Jordan Love. So the Packers go from Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, to Jordan Love. I don't know. I'm not sure I see the bridge. Dude, what happened to the bridge? Well, I think the middle of the Oakland Bay Bridge just broke. I don't know, man. There must have been an earthquake. I don't see it, kid. Matt LaFleur, with his great decision making and the way his time management is going into the half and the way he likes to go for it on third down. Oh, wait, he didn't. Oh, man. 19, the guy in Minnesota, O'Connell. I like him too. I think he's an up. I mean, you know what? I never thought I would say this because I really liked what Coach Zimmer did up there. I think this guy's been an upgrade. I like him. I got my boy Frank Reich at 18. These are the top 32 coaches in the NFL. I had to do it because Ross Tucker had some bogus list. At 17, Dan Campbell. I like with Coach Campbell. Hey, I'm going to do something. I don't know if you guys ever watched the movie Lincoln. And one of the senators go like this about Lincoln, because you got to remember something. Lincoln wasn't a very good president in his first term. He became a sensational president in his second term. And he was spectacular. And the one guy goes like this. He goes, have you not been surprised? Have you not been surprised by Lincoln? And the other guy's hatred for the guy, they couldn't see through the forest and they didn't give a shit. But have you not been surprised by Dan Campbell? I've been surprised. And I like it. I've been surprised. Okay? And you know, he's in the top 20. I've been surprised. I got Ron Rivera at 16. Ron's a good coach. Okay? Carolina, he did nice things. I think he's a great D coordinator. Washington is a sewer. We'll see what happens with Josh Harris, the great business mind / runner of sports teams. Because every one of his sports teams have turned out to be, hey, one thing you could say about Stan Kroenke, hey, what was the name of that owner that owned the Tampa Bay Lightning and owned the Pistons? And he won a Stanley Cup and an NBA championship in the same season. I can't think of that guy's name. What was that dude's name? Owned the Pistons and he owned the Lightning. And they won a title in the same year. Oh, I forget that guy's name. But look at what Kroenke's doing. Kroenke's got the Rams, just won a Super Bowl a couple of years ago. The Avalanche, the Nuggets now. Dude. Bill Davidson, thank you, Tony. Boom, Tony. Come through for me, Tony. Bill Davidson, that's right. Bill Davidson owned the Pistons and he owned the Tampa Bay Lightning. And they won the Cup and the NBA title all in the same season. And I got a picture of Big Sills with the cup on my Twitter page at Dan Sileo Show. You'll love it. It's kind of blurry, but it was in my studio. They brought the cup in. And I was one of the very few guys that got to raise it above my head. Yeah, and I had to put the gloves on and shit. It was stupid, but it was all good. I got Zach Taylor. How about Zach Taylor, another guy I've been pleasantly surprised by? You know, Cincinnati? I don't know. You got Joe Burrow. that helps. I see. Ross has Brian Dable like in the top 10. I got him at 13. Dude, you got 1 year. That don't make you a great coach in the NFL. 1 year? How many people think Brian Dable's a top 5 NFL coach? Boy, do not. I do not think Brian Dable. I think Brian Dable had a great start to his coaching career. To sit there and go, Brian Dable's a great coach? Let's see it this year. There's not a chance in hell he's a top 10 guy. Now, tell me if you think this is fair. I got Nick Sirianni 12th. And I got him ranked behind Mike McCarthy. Okay? I got McCarthy 11th and Sirianni 12th. And the only reason that I have Mike McCarthy ranked ahead of him, he's done more. He's been more successful. And like I said in the second hour, we're going to find out what kind of coach Mike McCarthy is. He's the play caller. He had Favre and Rodgers, won a lot of games. 13 years he had those guys in Green Bay. Well, now he's the play caller. Now he's going to have a lot on the line here because we're going to find out if he's good or not. Okay? We're going to find out if he's good or not. But his resume, he's got the same resume as Sean Payton. And his guys won a Super Bowl. He's one of the, here, let me circle the guys who have won Super Bowls before I continue. Because now we're going to do the top 10. Let me see Super Bowls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's only 8 guys in the league right now of the 32 head coaches that have won Super Bowls. By the way, I see our internet's banging in there a little bit. Please hang in there with us. We appreciate it. Here's the top 10 now. Here's the top 10. You know what? Hey, Tone, let's take a time out and see if we can get this bad puppy back here. Actually, it's starting to come back. We're good. Starting to come back here a little bit. So there we go. We're good. Let's do the top 10 now. So, hey, did you guys have a problem with me having Sirianni 12th? Ross Tucker had him like 6th. I'm like, you think Nick Sirianni's a better head coach than John Harbaugh, Mike Vrabel, Doug Peterson, Sean McVay, Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin, Belichick, and Reed and them guys? Do you really think he's better than those guys? Come on, man. At 10, I got Sean McDermott. Buffalo Bills. He's changed that entire culture around. By the way, at 14, I had Kyle Shanahan. I don't know if I said that because I don't believe I said that. I have Kyle Shanahan at 14. I don't think Kyle Shanahan is worth. He has Kyle Shanahan in his top 10 also. I don't see that. So my 10 are Sean McDermott, Buffalo. I got Mike Vrabel at 9, Tennessee. I got John Harbaugh at 8, Baltimore. I got Sean Payton at 7, Denver. I got Doug Peterson, 6, at Jacksonville. Here's the top 5 now. I got Sean McVay, Rams, 5. Pete Carroll, Seattle, 4. Mike Tomlin, 3, Pittsburgh. Bill Belichick, New England, 2. And I got Andy Reid, number 1. Ross Tucker has Sirianni in the top 5 over McVay, Carroll, Tomlin, Belichick, and Reid. Look, guy, I know you work for him in the offseason, but come on, man. I mean, come on, man. Why is Tomlin 3? Super Bowl winner. Never had a losing season in his 17 years in Pittsburgh. Never had a losing season. I mean, so like, who do you think? I mean, do I think Mike Tomlin was better than Pete Carroll? Do I think Mike Tomlin was better than Sean McVay? I do. Do I think Mike Tomlin's better than Doug Peterson? I do. Do I think Mike Tomlin's better than Sean Payton? I do. Do I think Mike Tomlin's better than John Harbaugh? Probably. Okay? Probably. So where's Sirianni in this whole thing, where how we view him? How do we look at Nick Sirianni as a coach in the NFL? Does he have a lot of say? Does he not have a lot of say? Some of these coaches have a shitload of say. I would say this to you. The coaches with the most power, that's a great topic. Coaches with the most power, Belichick is 1. Reed is 2. Carroll's 3. Peyton's 4. I would say Shanahan, 5. I would say Peterson, 6. McVay, 7th. Harbaugh, 8th. Tomlin, 9. McDermott, 10. Dable, 11. Vrabel, 12. It might be higher. That's pretty much it. And here you got these two guys. Who's got the most say in the building? Mike McCarthy or Nick Sirianni? I don't know if any of them do. Which divisions do you think has the best coaches? That's Tone. What division do you think has the best coaches? NFC West has Carroll, McVay, Shanahan, Gannon. The AFC East has McDermott, Belichick, Robert Saleh, and the young kid in Miami. The NFC East has McCarthy, Sirianni, Rivera, Dable. AFC West has Reed, McDaniel, Peyton. I think it's the NFC West. I think it's the NFC West because you have Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Pete Carroll. Gannon brings the room down. But if you think about it, I mean, those 3 coaches have all been to Super Bowls. And 2 of them have won it. I would probably say the NFC West has some really great organizations and have some really great coaches in it. That's where I would go. All right. I want to get back. You know what? I'm sorry, but I've been distracted today. Can I tell you why I've been distracted? Dude, I think this DeAndre Hopkins thing is too much just to keep just not going back to it here. I mean it, man. So, how much money would you offer him? Would you give him the $13 million that you have that's left on your cap? No. Jesus, I'm not distracted by no. It's this Hopkins thing. Because if you go back and you listen to what Philly 500 said, this is like an all-pro team. Dude, this is the difference right here between beating Kansas City. You would never get the ball back. You wouldn't have to worry about your defense. Look, don't you agree with this? If we have so many question marks on defense, overload the offense. Like they used to in New England. Overload it. Put as many great players as you can on it. Go on 10-play drives. Keep your defense off the field. Nobody is going to stop that offense. And here's the thing with Hopkins again, like we said in the first hour. Guys, you lose one of your pass catchers, unlike last year when you lost Goddard. Hey, do we not agree when Goddard got banged up and then Jalen got banged up, that offense kind of wobbled? Dude, if you lose Devontae Smith or you lose AJ and you still have DeAndre Hopkins and you have Devontae Smith or you have AJ, you're going to win a boatload of games still. And you're not going to miss a beat. You have those three guys on the field at one time. You know, and people have made this. Well, you know, there's not enough footballs to go around. How about this? Isn't this a better comment to that? There's not enough footballs to go around for all those players. I don't think you have enough good players on defense to cover them. What's more important? Well, there's just not going to be enough footballs for these guys to catch. That's not the question. Do teams that we play have enough defenders to cover those guys? It's not about catches. Do you have enough personnel? Does New England have enough personnel in week 1 to cover all those players? The answer is no. Do you think Minnesota has enough in week 2 to cover all those players? No. It's not about the catches. It's about if you have enough people that can cover them. See, people are worried about Hopkins going, well, if he only gets 60 catches, that's the question. You'll be favored in every single game if you had Hopkins on the field, including the Jets, which you're not now. If the Eagles get D-Hop, Cowboys don't have enough to stop the attack. Isn't that the question? See, that to me is where I'm coming from. I'm not coming from appeasing the receiver. Dude, here, watch this. If you just lined up DeAndre Hopkins in the slot, whether he catches 1 or 2 passes a game, you got to account for him. That means you have to scheme up against him. You have to defend him. And do you actually think that the Cowboys, who did go out and get Stephon Gilmore, have 3 and they have a slot corner that could cover Hopkins? Let's put it out here this way. How many teams in the NFL have a slot cover corner that could cover DeAndre Hopkins? None? 1? 2? That's the angle you need to come at. Well, you know, there's just not enough footballs to go around. Well, don't come from the player's perspective. Come from the unit's perspective. And then look at it as a defensive coordinator. Look at it at that angle. And if this team is built by what Jalen Hurts has said, this is not about statistics here. This is about getting wins. That, to me, is where you have to come from. If the game is on the line, who should Jalen go to? Brown, Smith, Goddard, or Hopkins? It's a great question. Where am I on the field? Game's on the line. Am I in the 20? If I'm on the 20 going in and it's the Super Bowl and Hurts would have got the ball back and I have Hopkins on my team, who am I going to? How about if I rank them? Let me rank them. You're on the 20 going in. It's Super Bowl 59. And you've got D-Hop, AJ, Goddard, and Devontae. Who are you throwing it to? You're at your opponent's 35 and you need a TD, 4th and 12. Okay, I've written it down. I'll tell you when we come back from the timeout. Hit the like button. We'll do it next.
Weather forecasting is a team game.
We rely on each other every day, updating the models and passing along new critical information.
We have a team of 5 experienced meteorologists and a specialized weather producer, Paul. Say hi, Paul.
Sometimes what I see in the model, Cecily could see something different.
That's when we come together as a team to make our most accurate prediction.
And all of this backed by more than 100 AccuWeather scientists. It's a team game.
And we have the best team in town.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
Celebrating the life of your loved one is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. When the matriarch of the Dalloway family died suddenly at 82 years old, Life Celebrations by Givenish stepped in.
They will make this the easiest thing that it's I know it's not easy, but they will make this as easy as possible.
Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
I just know that my dad, who is in charge of everything, was not in charge of anything at that point when my mom passed. And again, just another shout out to this place for making it easy.
Turning tragedy into a celebration of life, no matter how hard, is what we do at Life Celebrations by Givenish. Life Celebrations by Givenish, customizing services as unique as the individual.
EAGLES, Eagles.
I'll answer the question here in a second. Antonio Brown is going to play in the Arena League on Saturday for the Albany Empire, a team he is the majority owner. Oh, my God. He's Mike Tyson of football. When Tyson was the train wreck he was. He's the Mike Tyson of football, is Antonio Brown. You don't know if this guy is going to be arrested, if he's going to off himself. off someone else. I mean, this thing is and he's got an agent going around telling people that there's teams that are interested in him. No, there's not. Nobody in their right mind's interested in this guy. It's a damn travesty, too. Okay, because I can't even put him in Tyson's class, Sills. I just can't. Even at Tyson's worst, just can't. I mean, dude, probably so. And you know what the crazy thing about it is? I love the Mike Tyson today. I root for Mike Tyson today. I love that guy. I do. I love listening to Mike Tyson talk. It's so genuine and honest. Okay? I just love the way he is right now. And get this. You know what's crazy about Tyson? What's crazy about Tyson is no matter how much of a train wreck he was in his life, ain't nobody going to take away from what that guy did in sports. He may have been the most single destructive human being I've ever seen personally and to other people. That fucker was the real deal. Man, I don't know. You talk about Mike Tyson's legacy. I mean, could anything really, dude, the biting of the ears and all that, that's not his legacy. The destruction of those boxers that he hit, that was his legacy. George Foreman and him are the two greatest knockout guys, and Ernie Shavers, and maybe Ron Lyle, I've ever seen. And Joe Frazier, he's in there too. But, man, it probably goes Tyson and Foreman. Those two dudes were unbelievable, man. I mean, George Foreman, in my opinion, is the greatest knockout artist and heavyweight champion knockout artist of all time. I'd love to have seen those two guys fight in their prime. Wow. Wow, that's when boxing was in a golden age. All right. So Tone asked this question here. Liston 2, correct. You know Sonny Liston had an 81-inch reach? The longest reach in heavyweight history. Dude, 81-inch reach on a 6'2" guy. And had hammers for hands. So here's Tone's question. You're at your opponent's 35. And you need a TD, 4th and 12, to keep the drive alive for the score. Who are you going to? And this is with all the talk today about DeAndre Hopkins potentially joining the Eagles. Would you go to Devontae, D-Hop, AJ, or Goddard? I wrote down these 4 in a row. I would go to A.J. Brown. I think that guy's a red zone jump ball freak. Dude, and I'm not saying Hop is not there too, but man, he's a horse. He is a horse to get down on the ground. Me, I'm throwing that ball in the end. I'm throwing that ball at A.J. Brown. Okay? Tone's like, is there a wrong answer? I'm not sure here. Because Swift could be open on the flat. Just flare it out to him, right? Hey, watch this. Sills, how about the other guy that's not mentioned, DeAndre Swift? Okay? Because everybody's going to be back. And they're going to be defending those guys. And all of a sudden, Swift just gets a swing out pass from Jalen. And he takes it in, right? I got Hopkins second. I got Goddard third. And I got Devontae. And by the way, you could put these names in a hat and put an order together. And you're not going to be wrong in any of the order. With the point being that if you're going into the red zone and you got those 4 players, plus you got a back that's catch swing passes out of the backfield, that's undefensible. You can't defend that. Dude, if you're at the NovaCare Center right now, are you not figuring a way to get this done? How are you not figuring this out? Money can't be, hey, if you just paid a quarterback $255 million, money can't be the issue on why you wouldn't go get, hey, well, they can't afford. What do you mean you can't afford them? Yes, you can. You figured out how to afford Jalen and everyone else. See, when the people in Philly and the media say this comment to you guys, shake your head and go, you don't know what you're talking about. Because just like Big Sills used to tell you, once you pay the quarterback, you can't keep your team. Well, they figured it out, how to do it. You mean to tell me if they can't figure out how to keep a roster together, they can't figure out how to get one more guy on the team? That's absurd. Or Hurts will run it in. Okay? Probably that's the case. See, you figured out the biggest. See, the Eagles figured out the biggest jigsaw in this whole cap era. They figured out how to pay the quarterback by not destroying their team. They pulled, actually, I don't even think New England did this because they never gave Brady a shitload of money up front. You know, Tom Brady was never the highest paid player in the history of his career in New England because he actually took haircuts. He actually didn't get the money. Well, they gave Jalen the money and figured out how to do it. You know why? Bob Kraft didn't want to give Tom Brady the money up front. Jeffrey Lurie did. This is really like a 3-year deal that Jalen Hurts has because all the money's in the front end of this contract. It's brilliant. Dude, you figured out the contract for the quarterback. You got to figure this out. And get this, the only reason that we're here talking this right now, JM, the main concern is if Hurts has evolved enough as a passer to find all these guys. JM, if you have DeAndre Hopkins on your roster with all those talented players and you can't win a Super Bowl, you're never going to win with Jalen Hurts then. We agree? You're never going to win a Super Bowl then. If you have all that offensive power, let me just put it to you this way. You put Mahomes on that offense and Hopkins is on that team in Philadelphia, he would throw for 80 touchdowns. Okay? If he has all that talent, he's never winning. He'll never win. It would be the best roster in the history of the best offense. Hey, and what happens if Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter pan out, Nolan Smith pan out, and Sweat continues to evolve, and the kid Ringo was underdrafted, and the kid Brown turns out to be Bob Sanders? You had all that luck go right last year like that. I'm not saying it's going to go right like that because I think there's going to be more time on that defensive side to have to mature this. But man, the only reason, again, like I said, that we're in this position, that we're able to talk like this, is because he was cut. All right, Memorial Day weekend. Man, guys, I'm going to tell you this. It's one of my favorite weekends of the year. And this is a chance for family. You guys will be able to have yourselves a great time. Make sure if you see a military person, you shake their hand and you give them thanks to serving our country. Don't ever forget that. I want to make sure you guys have yourself a spectacular weekend. By the way, on Tuesday, we'll have our Gary Cobb interview, but we're going to also have our friend on with us, Kevin Frazier from Entertainment Tonight. We're going to talk with him, get his thoughts on the NBA Finals, some of the other stuff going on in the world of sports, get his thoughts on the Eagles, Jalen Hurts and all. And we so look forward to seeing you guys next week. Joe, Xander, to everyone, thank you guys so much. Hey, Tone, I wanted to take a little time here to tell you this, man. You just keep it up, man. Tone's doing such a great job for us here at JAKIB Sports. I can't thank him enough, man. We got to find a segment for you maybe on the show coming up because you're just killing it so much, man, and we appreciate it. Guys, have a great weekend. God bless all of you. We'll see you next Tuesday. Have a great one. Happy Memorial Day. Joe, Xander, Tone, everyone. We'll catch you Tuesday going 3 to 6, and we'll see you on the flip side.